It's like, damn it, be real with the people, but don't lie to them.
Freely admit that I am prejudiced against timeshares.
So my definition of timeshare is prepaid vacations.
And last year, the average timeshare sold for about $20,000.
If you're a salesperson, this is something you want to tap into.
Biggest thing with objections?
For timeshare, all you hear is a bunch of negative things.
And they were persuasive, and they kept pushing us, and we'd say no, and they'd say something else.
We here, episode 17. Shout outs to Factual Film Studio. Appreciate you guys for giving us the opportunity to use your studio. Shout outs to Sold in 60 Podcast, which is one of the most in-demand podcasts right now. You definitely want to log on to your Instagram and type in Sold in 60. You'll definitely get the opportunity to hear snippets of the video here. We definitely have a major guest in the building. I mean, I know this guy from back in the day. Rich has his history with him. Please, if you will, Rich, introduce our guest for today, man.
Yo, give your thunderous rounds of applause for my boy, Desmond Lobot.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
Welcome, man. Welcome.
Appreciate it.
What up, champ?
Man, everything's good. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for pulling up, man.
For sure,
You know what I'm saying?
for sure.
Timeshare veterans in the
I
house.
appreciate bringing me here. I love it.
We have to
love
have
it.
you, man. So, shoot. So we got viewers from that's in the game or that want to get in the game. And one of the main things that I always ask anyone that comes on the show is, how did you get in this industry in the first place?
It was something I drug my feet on for years because my whole thing, I want to get my real estate license to sell houses. That was the main thing. But timeshare, and specifically a particular company, because I met this guy, he had to be barely 21. And around that time, when I met him, I had to be about 25, 26. And I bumped into him downtown Orlando with a mutual friend. And he said he was talking timeshare. He was bragging about this company he worked for, very well-known company. And he just said, I just want to blow $3,000. And he just barely 21, so I just want to blow $3,000 because I had a great month. I'm like, man, what do you do? And I was making decent money myself, so it wasn't like, oh my God. But I was, I went out there just dropping $3,000 like that on just alcohol and playing around. So, I'm like, okay, a little younger than me, I'm like, okay, so it's always been in the back of my mind, like, all right, I'm gonna go in there and see what it's all about. What's really for me was to build a nice reserve income and then jump into the market. But it's a situation to where, that money comes fast, it's be consistent. Real estate is something where you got to build up that pipeline, and I just kind of stayed, So that's how I got in, and it's how I'm still in it right now to this day.
Hard to walk away from?
It's hard to walk away from.
That's what the game do.
It's
One
hard
more
work.
flip.
Yeah. Seriously. It's a situation to where, your money be low one day, but it takes that one deal. That 1 week, it turns everything around. So, that's the business.
Yeah. You think that, I was asking somebody this, I mean, it's kind of like a no-brainer, but do you think like the fast money changes individuals that's not used to get it so fast?
I mean, changing them in what aspect? Attitude,
the way you treat people, maybe the way they treat their family, or
I can see that with anything. I mean, any industry, once you start finding success, money just brings out who you really are. For me, it changed out how I'm going to make money. I can't see myself doing a regular clock in and out job ever again.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really did those type of jobs anyway. I mean, for years, since probably 21, 22, always had a job, if you want to say I work till I'm done. I might have a specific time I had to be at a particular place, but it was never a clock in at 9, you're off at 5. It could be a long day. It could be a short day. It's just I always worked performance-based in the performance-based industry. I produced this for my performance. So getting into this, it changed for me how I make my money as far as the time I put into it and what I'm going to do. And this kind of just set the tone for, I'm going to set the rest of my life.
Got you. So we were talking about this earlier. So you've had the opportunity, unlike other people, they probably came in the game and they've only been a sales rep. You had the opportunity to wear multiple hats. You was a sales rep at one point, leader at another point, selling vacation packages at another point. So I guess we can start with the sales rep. Or what were you first?
Sales rep.
Sales rep. Okay, so we can start with the sales rep first. Were you at a company that was selling point packages or week packages at the time?
Deeded weeks.
Deeded weeks. Okay. And what would you say the difference? Have you worked at a company that sold points before?
Yes.
Okay. And what would you say is the main difference between a point package program and a weeks package program?
I mean, for people that's in the industry, it's to me, it's just wording. If you was talking to a client, you're going to play one against the other. You really analyze it's the same thing.
At the end of the day, it's all the same
It's
thing.
the same thing.
Even depending on what resort you were. See, some people will say, well, oh, I'm going to leave this resort and go to this one. Or, oh, these people, I'm going to go to this resort. I'm going to go to this company. You're saying it's really all the same thing.
It's really all the same. And when it comes to points, it could be more confusing to others. You can manipulate it to sound one way because, I mean, it's just... might have one company that says, okay, 100,000 points equals 2 weeks. Then another company, 60,000 points equals a week. And then, another company might be 200,000 points. So, points is really a figment of a man's imagination. There's really no specific, okay, this is what it is and what it's not. One thing about deeded weeks, I always kind of like to pitch 8 days, 7 nights is a week. You can't manipulate that.
That's true.
That's one thing, especially when you're talking to seniors. When you're talking to a senior citizen, that points can be a little confusing. They want to be in the part of the program, but then when you start talking about, oh, well, you can take 60,000 points and go here to Colorado and 10,000 points and go here, then it gets kind of like a cluster to them. It gets confusing. 8 days, 7 nights, 1 week is more easy to explain. Absolutely.
True. Interesting.
Because we have people on the show from different places, so we always say like, what's better, weeks or points?
Well, for me, it's whoever I'm with.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
I would make it work, and then I would make it as simple as possible for anybody to understand. But if it was for me, I'm just saying, it's who's explaining it. But I think I can break it down because I'm currently selling deeded weeks. So, that's in my mind right now. You cannot manipulate 8 days, 7 nights.
Right. You want a week, you get a week.
That's it. Simple as that.
Got you. All right, interesting. I like that though. At least you're saying whoever's in front of me, that's depending on what they don't have is what they need. I got you.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. What you got?
So you went from you did sales, right?
Yeah.
So you said deeder, right? And then some companies call it something different. What do they call them? A closing agent?
Closing officer, deeders, they're generally the same.
So for your viewers or your listeners who may not know what the deeding and closing officer is when someone purchases, there is a closing process, kind of like if you was to sell a home, there's a closing, and they go over the ownership documents. Being in that space, how different is that from sales? Because for me, not ever being in that position, it always feels like we have different levels, right? And as a salesperson, you have different levels to overcome. So OPC, on or off property contact, has to get them in front of the salesperson.
Right.
The salesperson's level is to get the person to want to become an owner. Once you get them an owner, now they got to go past this closing process. What's that like? And is it a play against the salesperson or is it really connected?
No. I have seen some companies will call it quality control. The point is to close the deal. You sold something on the second floor, however your resort is set up. If you sold a family, the closing officer's job is to close the deal. It's not to kick your deal. It's not to, shake the deal. Their job is to close it. As a dealer, one thing you really got to understand, if every time a family walks in that office and that family's getting kicked, that dealer's not going to have a job long. The job of a dealer is to close the deal so they don't cancel. So the company makes money, and so the people that's all involved earn a living. One thing that you can't just be spitting those flames and then now they're being recorded and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, he told me I can move in on the first.
Right.
You can't go that far. It's just and you are being recorded, and these things, if it was something to go to court, these recordings will get pulled up. But as long as everything makes sense, is going through the documents, make them understand exactly what it is that they purchase. You'll see some of the same truth in lending, like you were actually buying a house, residential, on the residential side. You see a lot of the same paperwork and the same terminology and stuff. But it's just to solidify everything. I know a lot of reps
Families like freak out.
where when they go into the dealer's office. I mean, just always how it's presented. I mean, if it depends on the rep. I've heard reps say, "Well, this is an attorney." I've been called an attorney. I'm not an attorney.
But you know what it is, though? Certain cultures or certain states they relate to a different process. So like in New York, they deal with attorneys for closings.
Even on the timeshare side?
Well,
Well, you're talking about for like homes.
yeah,
Right.
but they're familiar with that term. Like they don't have title companies; they use the attorney.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. But I mean, I don't think it should be going to doomsday when you're going to the dealer's office. Present it to where it's fun. People are not scared. Don't feel like you're signing your life away. That's how your deals get kicked. Because now it's like hitting the reality, or you set it up to where like, don't say this, don't say that, don't say this, and this guy, you just say less as possible and go in there and sign the paperwork. That's how you start creating doubt in people's mind. Because now they're sitting there like, oh my God, because it's a stack of stuff you got to sign.
Right.
You got to sign some stuff. And then, it's like, oh my God, what are we doing? Just present it. It's fun. It's vacations. Keep it light like that, I personally feel.
Got you. So this is coming from all the sales reps out there. They definitely want to know, why does deeding take so long?
Oh, that just depends on your dealer and the family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you might have a family that's just really long-winded.
oh, got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of reps claim they're getting deals, and their families walk out and change their mind just because there's not enough dealers, or the dealers are taking too long to get them in the room. And I'm pretty sure you've heard that.
Yeah, I've been through that. It could just be a situation where the deeding department is short-staffed. You don't know what issues came up in one particular office where it's slowing down the process. Analytical families, you do have some people that they start reading through that stuff.
Yeah.
And they ask questions, and they have the right to ask the questions. It might sound like stupid questions, but this is the first time for a lot of these people doing these things. But it just depends. You might have a dealer that's new, slow, drag their feet. I've seen where dealers want that to be their last deal so they can go home. If they finish too fast, I'm just giving you all the real.
Right.
If they finish too fast, they might get another file on their desk, and that prolongs them going home. It's a lot of different reasons.
So being that you are, because this is coming directly from being that you worked in it as a dealer, why would you say is the most common reason why families cancel? Because you see it right there in their face.
Man, I could say a few. YouTube, internet, family members, friends, that weren't there, that don't even understand the process. You gotta realize you spend, an hour, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, depending on what the situation is. And then it takes a loved one, once they make it home, to now all of a sudden like, what the hell?
Why'd you do that?
Right. And you know nothing about it. Now, if they were sitting, they were present with you, it might have been a different scenario. But then when you have somebody, you could be a great sales rep and overcome a lot of that. But sometimes your influence is not going to overcome a parent, or a sibling, or the neighbor.
Right.
True.
So that's one. The internet's another. It could be the rep's fault not answering the phone. A lot of uncertainty and different things like that. So it just wasn't closed up. And even the dealer, and that's one of the things that the dealer's job is to do is this: if there's questions, if the rep's not answering the phone, they are supposed to call that dealer. At least at every resort's not like that, but from ones I've known, you're supposed to call that dealer. And that dealer's supposed to button up that deal so well that it should not cancel.
I always see it as a level of trust because I feel like if you made as a salesperson, if you made that family trust you that much, they would call you before they call the dealer. And I know
Right.
that most of the time the dealer says, if you have any question within this amount of time, you contact me. I'm in charge of your account. But sometimes they'll call you first, the rep.
They should, and I would prefer if it's a deal with me that you call me because you spent the most time with me. Now you do have dealers that are very good with forming those relationships because their paychecks and their livelihood depends on the cancellation, even their job. So if they don't trust the rep, which they don't, a lot of them don't, unless they personally know you, they feel you don't answer the phone, then they can send a ghost letter. They don't even call nobody. They just send a letter. I try to call Desmond. He didn't pick up the phone. Boom, send this letter. I'm out of here. I'm done. So they have to build up that relationship as well, just in case the rep might not answer the phone. The rep might go on vacation. It could be a lot of different things.
Do all resorts let the rep contact the family?
No, there's some resorts that when you're done, it's a done deal, and
Right.
you get fired for even if they find out you exchange phone numbers.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I can only assume the reasons why they do that. I don't know. I just can assume. I mean, I would guess if it was my company, well, if this guy leaves, I don't want him calling bad mouthing the company
Right.
or even trying to pull him over here. I don't know. That's just my theory on it.
Well, even if the guy left and badmouthed the company, I mean, what they have 10 days, right? It was the right to cancel. So after the 10 days, I mean, do you know of easier ways to get out of a timeshare after? I mean, is there a way to get out of a timeshare after 10 days? You tell
Yeah,
me.
you've seen the commercials out there. There's a way to get out of everything.
Mm,
A lot of people just stop paying. I mean, a lot of different things. I don't know.
yeah.
It's just
Well, if you're overseas, I can see you stop playing because there's no credit trace or
right,
anything like that. But if
right.
you stop paying here in the United States, I mean, isn't that on your credit and collections and the whole nine?
I mean, you got to just kind of really be all the way honest. There's some resorts that they will qualify anybody.
Mm, got you.
Especially if they're the ones holding the financing.
Right. So, you make them mad, and it's like, they you don't know how they pay their bills. You just got somebody said, okay, you got a 500 something credit score, and we're gonna sell you a piece of real estate.
We're going to lock you into a 10-year mortgage with a high interest rate, but you're going to use it.
And then you're irresponsible. I mean, this just is be all the way honest. It's ways out of everything. I personally feel, so
But I think we all would agree that the product works and people should use it. You know what I'm saying?
for sure.
You know what I mean? So people change their mind, it's whatever. But for the most part, I see, and that's what I want to bring more light to, because there are a lot of happy owners. But when you say they look on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? People are not seeing the ratio of how many people are actually happy with it.
Because I think negativity shines over positivity. And you I don't know, challenge yourself. I've never really done it. That's crazy. I just hear the stories. If I type in just timeshare and go to YouTube and just type in timeshare, I wonder what exactly I'm really going to pull up. Am I going to get a whole bunch of don't do it kind of stuff? Or have you ever done it before?
Absolutely.
What would you find? What would you see?
So you're going to get timeshare scams, how to get through a timeshare presentation, and then you're going to start getting ads that say, get out of your timeshare. And those ads are going to follow you for like a good couple months.
Phone calls gonna start ringing in.
You know what I'm saying?
So you found you got the negative.
You're going to get more negative, and that's the whole reason why we put together this platform to shed light that there are positive owners, and you don't got to be a scumbag or the perception of a used car salesman. No knock to them, but that negative sales aura or whatever.
Right.
And we for that Sold in 60 documentary that was created to bring that light to that positive. So in that documentary, we interview owners, guests, people and their experiences. There's people that own months worth of vacation ownership from different resorts.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's when I did that homework, and that's what I found.
No, I mean, you're gonna find good and bad in every product. It works, and it wouldn't be $1 billion industry if it didn't work.
Absolutely.
It's just, is it for you or not? Would you use it? You can have your dream car in the garage, whether it's a high-end vehicle, it's a Ferrari, whatnot. If it's something that just sits in the garage and all it's doing is just collecting money from you, you don't utilize it, you probably start resenting the car too.
Absolutely.
But for anybody that wants to travel affordably, people say, I hear, oh, well, it never ends. Well, okay, well, if you're renting your vacation, it never ends either. You're at the mercy of the name on the billboard, the time of the year, what country or state you're going to. There's some places, and I tell people this every day, you're not going to get a Groupon deal on certain locations.
Absolutely.
If you can't afford to go, you're just not going. And they don't care. They keep the prices high over there for a reason because they don't want everybody over there. I personally feel.
Yeah.
D, I think that you demonstrate and simplify things. So I'm going to assume that when it comes to sales, you have different closes. Do you have anything that you would say is your top close or top 3 closes when you're dealing with a family?
It really just depends on the rebuttals, what's being said, and who's in front of me, the personalities. But I mean, for me, is if you had it, would you use it? If it's affordable, would you buy it? So when you start giving me all this, oh well, I don't know, I got this going on. Well, you're here.
Right.
The same money. How much money were you budgeting to get here? If we can take that same money that you've been budgeting to make this trip, you said you want to go to Aruba. Okay, well, that's going to cost you how many thousand? How much money are you going to be putting aside for that? Instead of just putting that money aside, would you rather just take that same money, pay on something that's going to go away, and still take the trip? Versus you have to save up $5,000-$6,000 to go to a particular location. Once you hit that 5-6 grand, then you can go. I mean, you can put a down payment down today, and then by February of 2023, take the trip. You've only been making 3-4 payments.
Absolutely.
You see, so I'm more of the logic. You're going to spend it anyway. Take your anyway money, and let's see if we can do something with the anyway money. That's just my whole logic. Does it make sense?
I like it.
That's my thing.
Let me ask you this: as a going back to you in the deeding, as a deeder, what's the biggest deal that ever came across your table? And when you looked at the monthly payment, even you were like, "Damn, this is."
Man, you know what? It doesn't. That doesn't come out of me. And typically what I do see, I saw like it was over 100,000 was my biggest that I've seen. They typically, it's not monthly payments for them. They're talking about paying it. They're talking about
wow.
If there's not a cash out, they're talking about when they're going to pay it off.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you see those bigger deals, it's not the oh my God, $2,500 a month. I hope they don't cancel. Oh my God, that's a lot of money for. No, they're talking about it's either 0% option, or if it's not, it's we'll have it paid off by April, and we're in November. Or something like
that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, it's true.
I pitched a 5-bedroom. If 5 bedrooms, the more expensive piece of inventory we have. And when I do the presentation, I let a lot of the people know who are new, not owners so much, but people that are new, A through Z tour, that, most people that buy this unit buy 1 to 2 of these, and it's not about financing. They usually buy them outright. So I kind of plant that seed.
Set the tone.
Oh yeah, to let them know what it is.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times it sets it up to where it's like, oh man, we probably can't afford it. Then, when you do show them what you can possibly do for them today, it's like, well, that's not too bad. So it does benefit. You know, it's how you set it up. You set it up to where it's like doesn't seem like it's attainable before you even say the price.
So D, some people want to know to get in the game, to get your head in the game. Do you have a morning routine?
Yeah, yeah. Usually the gym, but I've been slacking getting that 5 o'clock thing. I've been kind of slacking on. So but I'm going to always listen to something motivational, whether it's an audio book talking about sales, regarding sales, something spiritual. I got a couple of, a bishop or two that I listen to just to keep everything in tune. So, it's not even so much just listen to these sales gurus all the time. Sometimes it's just for me, not even sometimes, all the time for me, just make sure everything is aligned. Because in this industry, if something is off, it will show up in the job. You got to know how to take your personal life, what's going on with your wife, your husband, the kids. If it is something so overwhelming, I would just say ask for the time off if you can, if you can afford it and if they allow it. You have to set that aside. This is not an easy job. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. It is, to me, a sink or swim business. You have to be able to roll with the punches. When things are good, things are bad, save your money. But you're definitely going to need some type of, me personally, a spiritual base, something that you listen to keep you uplifted, even when the moments aren't in your favor. That's so my morning routine is something always uplifting, something uplifting. And it's not even so much music with me either. I listen to that later on today.
Got you.
Got you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That's interesting. So look, I do want to transition into. We only have a small amount of time, but how about this? Let's pay some bills real quick, Rich, and then we can come back to that last question I have for D.
Hey, so if you need to book studio time, podcast time, content creation, contact Factual Film Studio. The link is in the bio. You can rent the space out hourly or you can rent it out for the day, but you can do all the content that you need, just like this podcast.
For sure. And we out.